So I decided to come down to downtown San Francisco for you guys to see what's the state of affairs down here and to also discuss some issues with the housing market. Right away I see right across the street you have empty retail space, which is probably the case pretty much everywhere around here from what I've heard. But I also want to take you guys by a place called Millennium Tower, which is literally sinking and tilting here in San Francisco. And the housing values of this condo are absolutely tanking right now. But before we get into that, I want to talk about how all the real estate agents are telling people to buy right now before the interest rates drop further and people keep rushing back into the market, right? So before interest rates started dropping, real estate agents, Barbara Corcoran, all the economists, even Lawrence Yun over at NAR says, if you don't buy now before the rates start coming down, then you're going to miss out because everyone's going to be buying then and you're going to lose out and home prices are going to shoot back up. Well, guess what, guys? Last October, 30-year mortgage rates peaked at around 8%. Today, you can get a 30-year mortgage close to 6%. That's a 2 percentage point drop in 30-year rates, and the housing market is slower than ever. The reality is 6% is still not enough for most people to afford a home. So literally right behind me is the Millennium Tower here in San Francisco, and this building has major problems, guys. Not only are the values plummeting in this area of San Francisco, but in this building in particular, the values are plummeting tremendously because this building is literally sinking into the ground. It's like you can almost kind of see it from here. You can see how the ground kind of caves downward there a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that on the video. But not only is it sinking into the ground, but also it's tilting. And this is a massive engineering problem that seemingly nobody knows how to fix. And if you ask me, they should just demolish the whole thing, guys. But it seems like it's easier to build these skyscrapers than it is to demolish one. And that's probably like the last resort. They really don't want to do that. This place is supposed to be all about luxury. They have a doorman. It's literally right across from the Salesforce Tower here, which is the tallest building on the west coast of the United States. And they had a unit there at Millennium Tower that just sold for a little over $600,000. And 10 years ago, it sold for over $1 million, guys. So we're talking a 40% discount because of the situation here. And I have a few other examples I want to show you guys. Take a look at this. Here is a penthouse unit there, okay? 5,000 square foot penthouse. Beautiful place, right? They bought this place back in 2016 for $13 million. Look what Redfin values it at today. Only $6.5 million, guys. Now, it's not currently for sale, but you know, these Redfin estimates and the Zestimates from Zillow, everything like that, are getting more and more accurate. So it's reasonable to think that that's pretty much on par with what they could sell this place for. So this place has literally lost like 2/3 of its value of this crazy expensive penthouse unit that likely the owner of this place will never recover if they went to go sell it. And I mean, even look at the rental price, guys. I actually just tried renting it in June of this year. It was for rent for only $72.50 a month. You can't even rent like a small house or something like that in Miami anymore for that price, or really anywhere around here, okay? But you can rent a luxurious penthouse unit right here at Millennium Tower for that amount. Isn't that wild? So I'm walking right past the front door right now. You guys can see they have like a front door man and everything. They open up the door for you here. It's supposed to be all about luxury, right? Here's another unit for sale here right now. They're asking $3.975 million for a 2-bedroom, 3-bath unit. And take a look at this. In 2011, it was sold for $3.232 million. Okay, and this is how far out of whack people get with the values of place. They tried selling it in 2018 for $5.6 million. Didn't work out. Tried again in 2023 for $4.9 million. That didn't work out. Now they're down to $3.9 million and probably going to continue to drop because this building is literally falling into the earth, guys, and all I can hope is that I get out of the way before it does completely fall down, because I've heard stories of windows falling out of this place and all kinds of things like that. The real estate agents say, oh, it's just because people don't want to live in downtown San Francisco anymore. You know, a lot of people moved away during the pandemic And I gotta say, it is kind of dead down here for a downtown, but it's not completely dead. You do still see some activity, and at least where I'm at, the homeless activity is not nearly as bad as you would think it would be from all the things you've seen on the news. But there's spots, right? They congregate in certain areas, and apparently right here isn't one of them. But besides that, guys, this area has its own set of problems going on right now when it comes to the housing values tanking, okay? Just look at the 5-year growth in home value in this area and how much it's down right now. Currently, just year over year, it's down 15%, but it has literally been sinking since about 2015, 2016. And as far as the actual home values here, back in 2014, the average home price in this zip code was about 1.2 million. Today, it's down to 1 million. So home prices here have fallen 20% in this neighborhood where I'm walking through right now over the past 10 years. You know, you always hear that old saying that buy real estate today, the value only ever goes up. Well, clearly, downtown San Francisco is proof that that's actually not true. Here's something wild as well. When you look at the cost of renting versus buying down here, even with this tremendous drop in home values in this zip code, it is still actually cheaper to be a renter, okay? The annual cost to be a renter here is about $54,000 a year, whereas if you were to own a property here, you're looking at about $75,000 a year. So even with these plummeting housing values, it's still 39% cheaper to be a renter in downtown San Francisco. When you look at the amount of inventory available just in this zip code alone, where I'm walking, guys, 94105, it is actually above pre-pandemic levels. Okay, in fact, the inventory levels never actually dropped here. There was never an inventory shortage here. You know, during the height of the market, 2021, 2022, it was still above where it was pre-pandemic. You can see back in 2017, there was maybe 50 homes for sale on the market. Today there's 100, it's double. I gotta say, guys, it's pretty tough making a video here downtown, like walking across the streets and dodging cars and people and all these different obstacles, you know, the buses, like, it's pretty tough. So if you're enjoying this video, make sure you give it a like for me, okay? The 6% mortgage rates are still not enough to bring people back into the market, and that's obviously because of prices. You know, there's no secret. We've been talking about that forever here on the channel. But I think a lot of people would tell you right now that in order to get them rejuvenated and reinvigorated about the housing market, they would need to see prices and or interest rates come back down to where it was pre-pandemic. You know, interest rates coming down to the lows again of like the 2 and 3% interest rates to get people interested, which is probably never gonna happen. And that's why we know that it's more likely that we're gonna see prices fall in the long run instead. I mean, even Fannie Mae, they're predicting that mortgage rates are gonna remain around 6% throughout the end of the year. In fact, their official prediction is 6.2%. So it may actually go lower than their prediction, but they're also predicting by the same time next year, guys, towards the end of 2025, that we're still going to be sitting at 5.7% mortgage rates, okay? That's not a very big difference from where we're at right now. Going from 6 to 5.7 is not a lot, okay? So you're going to have to see it drop way more than that to get people back in. And if we keep seeing the 10-year treasury rise because investors are worried about long-term inflation, then we're likely to see mortgage rates actually go back up, not go down. But this doesn't stop real estate agents from telling you, oh, you should just buy right now because as soon as the rates drop, everybody's gonna be rushing back into the market. But we've already seen that rate drop and we haven't seen that happen. So they've been wrong, dead wrong. You know, when you talk to real estate agents all over the country, many of them are saying that buyers are waiting for rates to drop below 6% or hoping that it goes back to where it was 3 years ago. So essentially meaning that they want rates to be back at 3%. But of course, you're not really valuable to a real estate agent if you say, well, I'm going to buy once the dust settles. I just want to kind of look around right now. That's a real estate agent's worst nightmare. They want you to buy today because that's how they make money, guys. The problem is this lie that's been told about jumping back into the market just hasn't been working. You know, it's not working to tell people that, yeah, you're going to see a rush of buyers come back in once the rates start coming down, because clearly it's not happening, and it probably will not happen unless we see a meaningful reduction in prices in conjunction with those rate decreases. Now, if interest rates do fall below 5% in the near future, and I'm talking like in the next 6 to 12 months, then we could see inventory pick up even further, because right now 76% of people have a mortgage rate below 5%. So if the rates start coming down pretty close to what someone has right now, that could entice a lot of sellers who kind of want to sell but have been trapped in their house for a while and haven't been selling. But the problem is, a lot of those people will probably list their homes for sale at yesterday's prices. That's typically what sellers do. They're going to list thinking that they can still get a tremendous amount of money for those homes, when in fact the values have already come down because the inventory is at or near pre-pandemic levels by then. I mean, we're already at 75% or so of pre-pandemic level inventory, and it won't take a whole lot more people listing their homes for sale to get us right back up there. So naturally, mortgage brokers try to get people to refinance right now since the rates are coming down, but it's not worth it for most people to refinance unless you have a rate at 7.5% or 8% and you bought a year ago and got the worst deal possible. But guess what? If you're in one of these places where the values are already coming down, you may not be able to refinance, especially if you only put 5 or 10% down like the vast majority of buyers do, guys. So even if you were somebody who was sold that lie that you can marry the house and date the rate, you may no longer be able to actually do that. So please, if you are somebody who's being pressured by a real estate agent right now, and they're telling you that the prices are going to shoot through the roof as soon as the rates drop a little bit more, or you should just marry the house and date the rate, guys, please don't believe it, because that is the worst advice you can possibly get right now. So many people are actually getting burned by this right now. It's likely only to get worse as more and more people continue to fall for this terrible lie. And one thing that's definitely going to continue to contribute to this massive downfall in home prices is all the investors who thought they were going to make a fortune flipping properties, or people who thought they were going to make a fortune doing Airbnb and have all these Airbnb listings and just become a millionaire in a couple of years. Guys, take a look at this photo right here. I found this on X. It shows all the Airbnbs in Mission Beach in San Diego, and what you can see is 31% of the housing supply here is unhosted short-term rentals, and which are all investments. This is all during a supposed housing shortage, right? So this whole notion of a housing shortage is an absolute lie. There is no housing shortage. It's a shortage of homes that are for sale right now that people can buy in some areas. It's not everywhere either. But clearly you can see a place like this has become completely oversaturated with Airbnb listings. And how long can they actually hang on? You know, if the price for these Airbnbs continues to go down because too many people are doing it and it's oversaturated, people can't make money. Or say they do what Dallas or New York City or Maui, Hawaii, and they just come out and start banning short-term rentals, what happens then? You know, all these people that have these short-term rentals in San Diego are going to be completely screwed. We got more empty retail space across the street. And I'm sure I've passed a bunch of it that you guys probably saw that I couldn't see while I'm walking through here. And this is literally the heart of downtown here. Now, one other thing I want to discuss here is flood insurance, or insurance in general, and how useless that can be sometimes. Florida got hit with Tropical Storm Debbie not that long ago over the summer. A lot of people thought that their home was protected with flood insurance from the National Flood Insurance Program, and they talked to one woman who said she spent $8,600 on a policy administered directly by FEMA. Here's the problem. When the insurance adjusters came through, they denied her claim outright, not due to any fault of her own, okay? They said a prior loss report discovered that the previous owner filed a flood insurance claim but did not complete the repairs with the claim payout. Well, how is all of a sudden that her problem? You know, I took a lot of heat on this channel, guys, about when I came up with this crazy idea that previous condo owners should maybe contribute a little bit to the problems that the condos are having today. Everybody hated that idea, and that's fine, right? But isn't this kind of like the same thing? A previous owner made a claim on the house for flood insurance, didn't make the repair, and now it's somehow the current owner's problem? That's not fair, is it? So the adjusters came in and verified that nothing was actually done from the previous repair, and now this person is on the hook for over $100,000 in damages from Tropical Storm Debbie. So now this is yet another pitfall that people have to watch out for and wonder or verify if the property that you're looking at purchasing had a previous flood insurance claim, and if in fact it did, were the necessary repairs actually made to the property? And if you're asking me how to find this out, guys, unfortunately, I don't have the answer to this one. This is a new issue that I just heard about right now. Never heard anybody faced with this before. The best I can tell you right now is to maybe try to get receipts and verifications from the previous owner, because now in Florida, they have to disclose if the property ever flooded before, and if it did, then they should have to prove to you that the necessary repairs were made if they check yes in that flood disclosure. But other than that, I'm not sure. So in my opinion, which is just my opinion, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney, I would think that this person would be eligible to sue the previous owner of the property for, number one, not disclosing that there was a previous flood, and also not making the repairs and essentially committing insurance fraud. You know, that person received the money to make the repairs, but they never did it. So if you're going to be purchasing a home anywhere in the country, whether it's Florida or somewhere else, guys, you need to be 100% sure that the house never had a flood insurance claim before. And I'm not aware of any other states requiring this to be disclosed right now other than Florida, but at least this gives you an extra layer of protection if you're a buyer right now in Florida, buying in a high flood risk zone. So if you enjoyed this really chaotic video in downtown San Francisco, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.